Right. First thing first, we gotta start with is which IPL team is taking Azmatullah Omarzai? That's the first question.
Us bowling all-rounders have always had their stocks pretty high, and this one's gonna be higher than expected, probably, if you think about it from
Yeah,
before the World Cup, of
yeah,
course.
yeah,
He's had a brilliant tournament. It's always good to see these young players, sort of rediscovering themselves in a sense that, he would probably never have expected to perform the way he did as a
yeah,
batter throughout
yeah,
this tournament, and it's
yeah.
been incredible. And I don't think we can say that, he has stopped bowling as much or,
No,
bowling took a back seat for him. Nothing like that.
nothing
He's
like
still
that.
been bowling.
Yeah. And he's had a big part to play in that early collapse that they orchestrated against Australia. So,
Right.
through and through, a very good player. Rakimul Haq here with me as always, my guy, for the Australia versus not Australia, Afghanistan versus South Africa, the morning after. Um, Afghanistan, 2 games ago, were a shout for semifinals. Not to say that they didn't play well, but they would be disappointed on how they finished the World Cup with their bat, and especially, I guess, the result is something that they wouldn't have wanted to take away, given that they got 4 wins in the tournament.
Definitely not. And all things considered, Afghanistan can be very proud of themselves
Yeah,
for the kind of World Cup they had. I think Jared Kimber in his World Cup preview mentioned that best possible scenario for Afghanistan is for them to have 4 wins, but for them to finish with 4 wins and still think that they could have easily had five or
yeah,
six, like not
easily.
even a
Yeah,
far-fetched thought,
no,
is in itself a pretty big achievement for them.
yeah. And obviously, with the 4 wins that they did get, they have clinched berth for the Champions Trophy. Um, would it
It's
be?
funny now that
Yeah,
now that you mention it, they were one of the few teams that just genuinely was never fighting for that Champions
yeah,
Trophy spot. They
yeah.
were always fighting for the semifinal spot.
Yeah, exactly. It's once that Champions Trophy qualification became public, although it seems like we were talking about it much longer than when ICC made it public. Um, yeah, there were, a two half of teams fighting for Champions Trophy, teams fighting for semifinals. And like you said, um, Afghanistan were clearly in the latter. What's one of the biggest takeaways for Afghanistan, besides their overperformance as a team, from the World Cup? Even today, some early starts in that top three, not really converting, but like every other game, someone stood up and really carried the ship. They didn't get the score that they would have probably wanted on a ground like this. Uh, but still good to see guys maturing and really standing up at the highest level in ICC tournaments.
I think their absolute biggest takeaway here would be their batting
Yeah,
overall, in a sense that they're no longer a team that's over reliant on their bowling. We saw them in 2019 when they looked literally unprepared for a World Cup, in a sense
yeah,
that they looked like a team that was completely reliant on bowling, and not even bowling entirely, like just their spinners. And when the conditions weren't favoring the spinners, they
yeah,
could do literally nothing.
yeah,
The fielders weren't backing up the bowlers. The batting was okay at
yeah.
best
At
and
best, yeah,
atrocious on a bad day.
yeah,
None of that this time. They used those 4 years to actually make a lot of improvements, and it wasn't easy. It wasn't a smooth journey. We've been following Afghanistan
Afghan,
cricket in since the beginning, but
yeah,
a lot more in these 4 years, especially during the ODI Super League. We
yeah,
saw them play in Bangladesh, we saw them play in Sri Lanka, against Pakistan as well, in all these conditions where they didn't always turn up and perform every day,
yeah,
but they trusted the process, they trusted the players. And it just shows, we've been talking about it. Jonathan Trott brings this calming presence into the mix, and that has always been a huge, huge benefit. And I think a lot of credit, we haven't spoken about it this way, but I think a lot of credit also for the batting should go to someone like Ajay Jadeja
yeah, hundred
for
percent,
providing the inputs on how to perform as a batting unit in India.
yeah,
I'm sure he knows the inside outs of
yeah,
how to
yeah,
perform in India,
yeah.
and that's definitely helps.
In terms of because you brought up the coaching point of view, Jonathan Trott, obviously, he's never been to Afghanistan. He said it in an interview. He's had more of a remote role. And then when they get together at Greater Noida, which is Afghanistan's second home ground, he has more of a personal role with the players. Even despite having such a varying role in a 12-month period, you could say he's probably seeing the guys maybe 6 months of the year at best. Um, how has he been able to, I guess, orchestrate such a mature team in a period of time that he's been at the helm? And how much does having older guys who've been here, done that? Hamid Hassan was probably playing, he was playing until last year, and he's a bowling coach now. How much impact does that have on the setup?
Hamid Hassan, let me just start with him. Hamid Hassan, of course, has this uh, massive positive impact in a sense that it helps to replace, they were replacing, I think, Umar Gul
Yeah,
before that.
yeah,
It helps to replace Umar Gul with someone like Umar Gul did a pretty good job with the bowling unit
yeah,
as is, but
yeah.
then you replace him with someone who knows. Again, we spoke about Ajay Jadeja knowing the conditions.
Finish.
Here's someone who knows the Afghan team and the Afghan setup inside out because he's
Yeah,
been a big part of it
yeah,
himself.
yeah,
So to bring him in as the bowling coach, I'm sure you can get better coaches here and there. You can get
yeah,
better minds. You can get bowlers who've had much better records than Hamid Hassan. Not to
yeah.
not to downplay Hamid Hassan's
But yeah,
playing days.
there's
But for
suitors out there, 100%. Yeah,
Absolutely, absolutely.
yeah,
Suitors out there, but no one knows Afghan cricket as well as he does. And
yeah,
he can sort of man the ship when Jonathan Trott isn't around during the Afghan days.
yeah,
That helps. And then overall, we spoke about the Super League. Super League is a big impact in ensuring that these teams are playing regularly. So even when, let's say, for 6 months, it's not a constant period of 6 months where Jonathan Trott isn't involved at
yeah,
all.
yeah, yeah,
He does still get to be involved may every other month at least.
yeah,
On most occasions, he is involved every month,
yeah,
building up to the World Cup, especially. So
yeah,
that really helps. To constantly be playing means you constantly go to different locations where Jonathan Trott will be present with the team. So that definitely helps.
yeah. I guess surprised Najibullah Zadran didn't get a game, even to finish the World Cup, or Afghanistan's motto was play best 11 and get a fifth win, no matter the consequences or the circumstances.
Absolutely play the best team. I mean, who do you bring him in for? At
Yeah,
this point,
it's
I
you would
don't
have to
see any
drop
name.
Rahmat Shah, which would be
Rahmat Shah, no,
absolutely
that would be
criminal.
unfair.
Yeah,
That would be very
absolutely
unfair
criminal.
to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, what they could have done, we were speaking about dropping Mujib possibly.
Oh
You
yeah,
drop
yeah,
Mujib for a specialist batter that you still would technically have five bowling options, five proper bowling options, but
yeah.
it's still unnecessarily risky to, replace a specialist bowler with a batter that just breaks your combination for no
No
reason, right?
reason. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Thoughts on Omarzai's innings? I know we started with a little bit of banter about him getting an IPL deal. Yeah, I thought looked really good. Paced his innings really well. It's a shame he didn't finish with 100. That last over was exceptional.
He was
Um,
almost crying on
crying,
his knees
yeah,
at the end.
at the end, yeah.
That was emotional, yeah.
You feel for a situation like that because you know how much it would have meant to him to have that 100. Going away from the World Cup the way he's performed, and then 100. Yeah,
Just want to add one small thing. I just realized this. You know how Naveenul Haq was consolidating him, sort of
yeah,
consoling
yeah,
him that
yeah,
it's
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
It's funny because Naveenul Haq is the one who sacrificed his wicket for
He's
Omarzai, and as we know, Naveenul Haq is retiring from
retiring from
ODIs.
ODI
So
cricket.
technically,
Yeah,
this was his last game,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and he's the
Uh,
one who should have been getting the consolation over there.
I know.
But
Yeah, it just
but
shows the
all jokes
selfless
aside.
nature, right, of the team.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. They are gelling together very, very well as a team, and that is
yeah,
so good to see. All
yeah,
these leagues are fine, all these things are fine, but you're not taking the biggest positive out of these leagues if you're not gelling together as a team on the field, and they're doing exactly that. So that is
yeah.
very good to see. I almost wish that Naveen will decide that okay, no, this is worth
This
it.
is
This
worth
is
it for
worth
me.
the
Yeah,
effort.
I'm almost thinking he might just push back on that retirement now
I
that
really
they
hope he
have a
does. I really, really hope he
Champions
does.
Trophy, and he's had a good impact at the World Cup too as a team.
I
So
guarantee you, had they won against Australia, he would have
yeah,
withdrawn the
yeah,
retirement.
Yeah.
I guarantee you. There's still time. I really hope he
I
does.
really hope,
Lucknow
yeah.
isn't going anywhere. Lucknow is going to give you that contract next year as well. Don't
You will
worry.
have that
You
Lucknow contract, yeah.
you've even made friendship with Virat Kohli now, so
Yeah.
don't worry. There's no risk. No, no. But again, in all seriousness, coming back to Azmatullah, fantastic innings from the beginning to the end. There was no slogging. How
Yeah.
good is that?
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
batter who, again, never had that responsibility before this tournament, as we were saying, comes out at number five, like he has been doing so well in this tournament, bats all the way through, bats all the way till the end, even bats a lot of overs with the tail enders, no slogging, nothing, just proper meticulous application and batting. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Just smart innings, clear execution, like you said. He got a little bit of support from Noor and Rashid Khan a little towards the end, which really helped. But he paced the innings throughout, and that's what you like seeing from guys, especially younger guys in the team who are in form, who are doing well. Just taking that bit of responsibility. Um, Koitze back in the lineup today. Wasn't playing last game, I think. 4-4. Where was he
I
playing?
think Koitse played.
Might have been playing.
No,
Yeah,
no, no.
yeah.
If Peflukai was the one who
Look
came in.
where
Koitse
is
was
there?
playing.
Yeah, yeah. Shamsi got dropped, obviously. Oh, Rabada was the one that sat out a game for Shamsi to play, I think, right? Um, so
They've
yeah,
been mixing
Koitze.
and matching
Yeah,
because they qualified quite a few days ago.
quite a
So
few.
they've been
Yeah,
mixing and matching, and
yeah,
it's good to see. Kwadze was pretty much intimidating the batters with pace. You can see that if you look at the highlights package, you can see that he was getting those wickets down the leg side with short
yeah.
balls. You can say
But
he
you
got
can't
lucky,
see.
but he was actually intimidating the
Yeah,
batters in the other
yeah,
deliveries.
yeah,
That's what got them into those awkward positions. And
yeah. I mean,
again,
they had
awesome
a
to see
good
a
start
brave young
actually.
South African bowler.
Yeah, they had a 40 for none kind of a start. So although the early wickets fell to Lungi and Gidi, yeah, I mean, how impressive has Coetzee been at the World Cup and filling in for Andrek Nokia
Very
in
impressive.
sorts. Yeah,
He didn't let anyone understand the whole, gaping hole that Henrik Nortje could have actually left. And
yeah,
that is the very impressive fact because in the last two ICC tournaments, even though they were T20 World Cups, Nortje has been very, very impressive. He misses out here just like he missed out on the 2019 World Cup, but over there they actually felt his absence.
yeah,
Over
yeah.
here, not so much. And
Will
Coetze's got a
Nokia play
big,
another
big
World
role
Cup?
to play in that.
Nokia, will he
And
play another World Cup?
what if he has another good 4 years only to miss out on the 2027 World Cup at home?
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
really hope it doesn't
I
come down
really,
to that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Ibrahim Zadran, that's the main wicket he got, Quetza, because he's the one that came into this game with a lot of form behind him. Um, Surprised he didn't get a knock in today, or it's just a bad game here and there happens.
And you're coming against a very good bowling attack. It happens. I mean,
Yeah.
this is cricket, right? Law of averages or whatever you want to call it. I don't want to say that he's being inconsistent because you come up against a good bowling lineup after you get the century. And look, I'm not saying like this effect has been placed on him, but
Yeah.
when you get that sort of a century, when you get your team into a completely winning position and then you don't win, it's also a little disheartening, right? Like
Disheartening.
end of the
Yeah.
day, I know they're professionals. They're gonna turn up day in and day out. They're gonna, forget about the last game and everything.
Yeah.
All that works on paper. End of the day, everyone's human. You
Yeah.
gotta keep
Yeah.
thinking about these things from time
Yeah.
to time. That oh no,
Yeah.
I had the
We were
match-winning
this
century
close.
right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
We were
Yeah.
this close. We had everything, and then you know my innings is worth nothing when you compare it to someone like Glenn Maxwell.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
you start to think
So
sometimes,
almost
right?
scored
And I'm not saying
almost.
all that is probably just overcomplicating it. It was just one bad game. No big
Yeah.
deal.
Last thing about their bowling, Keshav Maharaj, once again, economical, very economical. How's he impressed you at the World Cup? And I guess uh, two for today, but lines, super straight lines, and something for Australia to be worried about a little.
See, this is what happens when a test bowler translates his discipline
Yeah,
into white ball cricket.
yeah,
We talk about how Nathan Lyon couldn't make it into white ball cricket because the whole idea of and the whole approach he has to red ball bowling isn't something that can easily be translated into white ball bowling. Similar could have happened to
Yeah.
Keshav Maharaj, but he didn't let that get to him.
Right.
He sort of used that skill in a way that would translate very well into ODI cricket. And not to forget, we know that the Ahmedabad pitch will always have something for the spinners. That
Yeah.
definitely also helps.
Yeah.
But for him to be this lead spinner, you have to remember neither Keshav Maharaj nor Tabriz Shamsi got molded into the role of lead spinner as
Yeah.
well because
Yeah.
they were both sort of bowling in tandem with Imran Tahir, at least when it came
Yeah.
to ODI cricket.
Yeah.
That's what they were doing up
Yeah.
until 2019.
Yeah.
And then Tahir retires, all of a sudden, you don't know what to
It's a
do.
big gap.
Shamsi takes up the T20 role, Maharaj takes up the test role.
Yeah.
Who handles the ODI
ODI.
side?
Yeah. Yeah. And Shamsi, I think he came into the World Cup as one of the highest wicket takers in the last 4 or maybe 2 years in the ODI Super League cycle. He might have had one of the highest wickets in the phase. And, you know, Maharaj has essentially usurped him as the main spinner, and Shamsi spent more time on the bench. But he's also had tough games whenever he came in. So I guess that's something that played into the decisions as well. Any
His
IPL deals for
batting also
Maharaj?
came into play.
Yeah, yeah, it could, but I think, I mean, with South Africa, they're also essentially batting till 10. Does it really matter as much? Maybe. I think it gives them a bit of cover, like we saw in that Pakistan game. It gave them some cover for someone to see the game home. So that helps. Any IPL deals for Maharaj? Come back home.
I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves because the IPL teams aren't super interested in spinners, overseas spinners, that
Yeah,
is, but
because
you never know.
yeah, yeah. So moving on, obviously, Temba Bavuma is looking tough for the semis. Could barely run. Actually, couldn't run at all. Um, do you think they might go the route of Riza Hendricks and bench the skipper?
Always a tough call, a
Yeah,
risky call because it's a question of what you get with Riza Hendricks now. Like,
yeah,
does
yeah.
Riza Hendricks give you enough to say, okay, no, I want to risk it. I want to actually drop my captain here. That's always going to be a risky call.
The question is, it's true Riza Hendricks average is maybe 29 in the last couple of years or so. Bavuma averages 49, 50, something like that. So he's obviously got the numbers behind it. Quinton's highest run scorer at the World Cup, sorry, right above Rachin Ravindra. Do you need two aggressive batters or do you need your captain? Obviously, he's still a really good captain, as we have seen in the World Cup. Do you just persist with him despite an injury because of his captaincy?
It's a good question. It will depend on what the state of his injury is.
Yeah,
I know that we're not going to get 100% fit Temba Bavuma, but again, 90% fit Temba Bavuma does what he's doing now anyway.
yeah,
But the problem is, again, anything less than that, you start to question how much it'll impact his batting and more importantly, how much it'll impact his fielding.
fielding.
Demba
Yeah,
Bavuma is one of the best
best
fielders
fielder.
in the world. Not a lot of
Yeah,
people talk about that.
yeah,
His fielding is always going to be an important asset. You don't want an unfit fielder, especially like imagine this, your best fielder is suddenly then replaced by an unfit
and
fielder.
fit
Even though it's the
fielder.
same
Yeah,
person, it's an
yeah,
unfit fielder fielding
yeah,
in place of your best fielder.
yeah.
That sort of
And he
changes a
feels
lot of
at
things.
hot spots too, so it makes it.
Hotspots.
Yeah.
And ask Herschel Gibbs what it's like to drop a
Ha
catch in
ha.
one of those hot spots against Australia.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Nah, definitely. I think they've got an injury concern with Marco Jansen too, but Jansen walks in any day, no. Fekbukwayos just got a game at the World Cup. You
He
know,
did look good though.
he did look good. Yeah, he did, and he solidified it really well with what's his name, freaking Miller. Um, but yeah, Quinton de Kock, no 50 today, but look really good. Rassi, same thing. South Africa getting a hold of what chasing looks like at the World Cup now?
They are. And it helps that, Rassi sort of showed them the way today
Yeah,
because he anchored the innings all the way through till the end.
yeah,
And if it's a two, it could easily be with South Africa's bowling, it could easily be a 250 chase, a 260, 270, or even a 280 chase for that matter. It shows that you're gonna have naturally aggressive batters around you. So it's okay for you to play this anchor role. I think he played at this point, I don't remember, but he tried playing a similar role in other games when they were
yeah.
chasing. It didn't work
But
as well. Today it worked almost
especially the
perfectly.
Netherlands game when he freaking tried to reverse sweep.
Th- that was just him messing up. That's a
That's
brain fade
yeah,
moment for him, I
brain
think.
fade. Yeah.
But it
Uh
helps that all these South African batters are in very, very good form. So they just need to realize that if you can get runs batting first, you can absolutely get runs batting second.
yeah.
It is not.
Yeah, I mean, so what I said in the beginning. Sorry, Miller actually missed a slower one from Mohammad Nabi. And then Feklugueo came in. So him and Rasi actually had the partnership that saw them home. But before we get into that winning partnership, Afghanistan, until Feklugueo came in, they always looked like they were in the game. They just kept on picking up wickets, whether it is that first wicket that they took with Bavuma and then causing a little bit of, I guess you could say, bit of a like a thoughts in South African minds that something might go wrong with Markram and Klassen going pretty much one after another. How has the four spinners recovered since Australia game? They looked to be in much better, and Mohammad Nabi got a much better spell today, actually. Um, so, how did that impress you? Just recovering from that kind of one-off scenario that might never happen in cricket again.
Only thing I would say, only negative thing possibly is they were bowling a bit too short from time to time. Other than that, everything was fine. They didn't look
Yeah,
like a bowling attack that, lost the game from the jaws of
of
victory or
victory. Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
They didn't look like any other bowling side that would, struggle a lot more against this South African batting lineup.
yeah,
It looked fine. Honestly, they were bowling according to plans. They were bowling according to the situation. Nothing out of the ordinary except, like I said, pulling the length back a little too much,
yeah.
thinking that, Glenn Maxwell is out there trying to hoist them over mid-wicket. He's not there anymore.
He's not
But
there.
having
Yeah,
having
I
said
mean
that, I
Rashid.
do understand that
Yeah,
Markram and Klaassen also play in a similar way. So it's very easy to get intimidated by them as well.
yeah. I mean, coming off the back of that game, Rashid got the wicket of Henrik Klassen, who you could arguably say is the best player of spin going around right now. Um, so there's a thing that Henrik Klassen's introduced into cricket now, and a lot of guys are following it, which is playing spinners of the back foot. For historically or even until maybe the last 16 months or so, it was always get on the front foot. Don't let the ball turn, get to the pitch of the ball, negate the turn, things like that. Klassen's improved and he's brought a game in where he said, I'll let the ball turn and then I'll play my shot. So people have had to change their tactics with Klassen and some of the other guys that have implemented that game. So Rashid was initially getting cut off the back foot by Klassen. And then I don't even think Rashid meant to bowl it that quick, or maybe he did because he's, the magician that he is, Rashid. But
Instinctively happens for him, the quicker
it
one.
just felt like he just did this and he was almost like, oh shit. Like that's
Slipped out.
that's the feeling I got like watching it live because he didn't even follow through fully and it almost just landed and skid on and caught Klassen by surprise. So those are the things you need time to time. And one of the things the commentators were also mentioning is Mujibur Rahman has this tendency to show all his six deliveries in one over. How much do you think that's actually impacting his ability to have a say in the game because he's trying maybe too many things at once?
Trying to do his title of mystery spinner justice, something we didn't see in the early days of Mujib, when the whole point of his mystery was there wasn't mystery to all his deliveries. That's the
Yeah,
whole point,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
There's going to
yeah.
be two completely unplayable, unreadable deliveries in the over. The other four are going to be regular stock balls, which
Yeah.
fall exactly where they're supposed to, and
Mhm.
still the batters can't get them away. That was the whole gimmick
Yeah,
surrounding Mujibur Rahman. And
yeah,
I feel like he's sort of lost it. He's trying, again, as you said, he's trying too much. He's afraid that the batters are going to read him because he's been around the scene for a while
yeah,
and trying to overcomplicate it. I mean, at this point, I would just ask him to maybe bowl a little less in the nets and then just focus on the fielding. The bowling will take care of itself.
yeah. Yeah.
He's a naturally
Gifted bowler. Yeah,
gifted mystery
yeah,
spinner. Like,
yeah.
there is no
No,
concern with his bowling.
even these guys were saying it that, he's better off bowling four off spinners, which turn massively for someone like him. And then throw in his googly in one, next over, throw in his leg spin, throw in his slider in another over. Keep it in a way that teams will not be able to plan against you. Sometimes it's like if you're drifting one in and drifting one out, they kind of don't have to play every ball because they know there is going to be one that will come in sometime. There is one that will just straight in sometime. So one of the things Said Ajmal used to say is he used to do interviews before a series and be like, oh, this delivery is coming out this series. And then everyone would be worried about the delivery that's going to come out. And he was just bowling it straight and people were getting wrapped on the front pad. And so look at the mind games. That's the mind game involved in this, right? So I mean, how good is Fekluko's innings, and does he put a little selection question mark in South Africa's minds because of the runs he got? More importantly, I would say.
Definitely. I mean, he bowled well. Just to
Yeah,
start with
yeah,
that, he bowled well. He got the important wicket of Rashid Khan, but the way he batted at the end, he looked a much more confident batter than what we've been seeing of him in the last
yeah,
few years. This
yeah,
this looks like his 2016-17 self, where he was a much more self-assured batter.
yeah.
And if that's the case, I don't know, Fardin, if that's the case, against Australia, I might just be tempted to think, okay, hold on. Janssen, if he's fit, he walks in. I can easily slot Janssen in at 8.
Yeah,
Janssen at 7 is, if I'm being honest, is pushing it a bit
it is
because
pushing
Janssen
it.
isn't going to perform with the bat every day, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But Pef Lucayo, he's a much more reassured batter. With him at 7 and Janssen at 8, I have
Better
effectively
cover.
two very good
Yeah,
all-rounders
yeah,
at 7 and 8.
yeah. So
What more do I
who
need?
do you drop? Who do you drop? Lungi?
No. I mean, one of Lungi and Rabada in that case, but which is exactly why I don't think they will do that. Because Lungi and Gidis had a good tournament, and
Yeah.
Rabada, in terms of reputation, he just walks in. He's not had a bad tournament per se, but that's what reputation does to you.
Are we
He
picking
just
guys?
walks in.
Are we
Let
picking
me just
guys
take a
on
look at the
names?
stats
We
in
picking
this
guys on
tournament.
names now? We picking guys on names?
Rabada, 12 wickets in 8 matches, average
Not
of
bad.
26.9, 4.8, and that's him in a weird way. That's him underperforming
Under.
somehow.
Yeah, yeah.
That's just how good he's always been. On the other hand, Lungi and Giri exceeded most of our expectations, but 10 wickets in 8 matches. He was very good at the start of the
Start of the
tournament. He
tournament.
did trail off a bit. His economy is now 5.87. He was expensive today as well.
Yeah,
Makes you wonder if
yeah.
it's really all that bad to just go for an all-rounder who, again, you think of Janssen, he's going to give you overs with the new
Overs.
ball.
Yeah, exactly. And
So is
he's
Rabada.
gonna rush a
You have the
few guys with the swing and with the bounce he gets. So yeah, I mean, if you've gone 8 and over in a 250 run game, may come down to you. Especially because, like you said, Jansen walks in. So who do you drop? Um,
another thing. These Kolkata pitches, they have Kolkata is the venue that'll be hosting South Africa and
in Australia.
Australia, as
Yeah,
it seems right now. these Kolkata pitches have shown their old nature a bit this
Yes,
tournament,
yes,
where they
yeah.
are favoring the spinners from time to
Spinners.
time. So
Yeah.
there might be some temptation to try Shamsi as well. Australia,
I don't know.
not
Australia, yeah, yeah, yeah.
they favor pace over spin.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So couple of selection calls to be
And
made
I
there
think they will actually be having an eye on Australia's game today against Bangladesh.
and see how they do against those spinners there. And that may
Andy
play a
Maxwell's not playing, but
I
the
know.
others are.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that will. So yeah, double header tomorrow. Um,
Today, in
something to
fact.
play today actually. Something to play for with both I want to say Pakistan if they score 450, England to retain their number 7 spot and a Champions Trophy berth, Bangladesh to get their Champions Trophy berth confirmed, and Australia, as Daniel Vettori said, the home team changing room is much better than the away team changing room. So all 4 teams have something to play for. So we will be back with that tomorrow, the final doubleheader of this World Cup. It's flown by. But thank you guys for all the support and, keep subscribing, keep watching our content and all the support. Um, thank you, Rakimo, once again. That's it from us today.
Thank you very much.